Hey guys, so in today's video, we'll be asking renters why they don't just buy a house. Now personally, I rent two different apartments, one as a primary residence and one also as an office. So I have my reasons for renting, but I'm really curious to hear what other people have to say. So we'll be asking questions like how much rent do you pay? Do you feel like you're throwing away your money by not building equity? And what do you actually do for work? Since, you know, these apartments, they're really expensive. So I'm curious to see how people actually make their money.
I just want to say I've seen your videos before in the past. Let's make it happen. Awesome.
So what's your name, age, and what do you do for a living?
My name is Kevin Lee. I am 21 and I do e-commerce for a living.
Why do you rent?
I lived 21 years in the Bay Area and this is my first time living in SoCal. So it'd be, a big commitment just, buying a house here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a feel of if I like SoCal, and renting has less of a commitment.
How much do you guys pay for rent?
We pay about $4,600 a month for a 2-bedroom.
How much do you need to make to be able to afford an apartment like that?
Maybe like 200, 300K a year profit.
Is it worth it living in California?
California has really good weather, really good people. Well, it really depends where you are, right? And this apartment helps with kind of filtering down the people. It might seem a little bit shallow, but I think it's important to, surround yourself with the right people, especially if you want to succeed and you want to be thinking about the right things. For myself, California is worth it, and I do see myself staying here for a long time.
How did you get into e-commerce?
E-commerce was something that there was no ceiling to how much you can make. And then it also aligned with the reason why I want to make money, and it's for freedom of time to be able to be here, speak with you, freedom of location. My operations center is back in San Jose and I live here. And then freedom of, money, being able to afford this beautiful apartment, have, nice cars, be able to go out to a nice lunch after this.
Can you share what you sell?
So we sell BMW carbon fiber parts. We sell the spoiler, front lip, the grills, the diffuser, exhaust tip. We do performance parts as well.
Nice. What do you drive?
I drive a BMW M4.
Okay. What's your most expensive monthly payment? Is it your apartment or is it your car or something else?
That's a good question. It's actually none of those. The car is paid off. The apartment is actually very little compared to the business expense. So the business expense includes fulfillment, the team. We're getting a warehouse soon. So it's mainly the business. And it's not in a sense where it's draining the bank account. It's more so an investment because that business provides me cash flow.
And you're super young, you're only 21. How did you get started so early?
Part of it is mindset and kind of like what pushes you, right? So for myself, when I left high school, I went to college for 1 semester and I realized that this was just like high school. And I didn't want to learn something that, I wanted to do from someone who's not doing it. And that was make a lot of money.
How much did you start your business with? How much money?
I started my business with just $2,000 and we've grown that past 6 figures.
So when are you going to move to a house? When are you going to buy?
It's really no rush for me right now. And even if I got a house, I wouldn't know what to do with all that space.
Right. What's the best piece of advice that you've been told ever?
This gentleman who's worth over 100 mil gave me this advice. And this was, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, copy it and do it better. Because everything in the world's already been done. So you just need to find a model that works, do it, and then improve on it.
Thank you so much. So what's your name, age, and what do you do for a living?
My name is Janice. I'm 33. I am a luxury retail store manager at South Coast Plaza.
Why do you rent?
Just have to, because in California, it's too expensive to buy.
Would you mind sharing how much you pay for rent here?
$3,400.
Okay. Do you ever have plans on buying a house?
Oh yeah, I would love to, eventually, but it's too expensive right now.
So do you feel like you're throwing away money just by paying for rent?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's outrageous to think about sometimes.
So then how do you console yourself?
Just gotta be patient, I guess. I mean, there's not much else you can do. So it's either just if you want to pay for a comfortable lifestyle, obviously this is really nice here. You could have a roommate or whatever, but gotta give or take and see what's more important to you in life.
What are some of the pros of living in a community like this versus buying a house?
Obviously the amenities are nice. I'm here at a pool on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think the community we have here is really cool too. And this is actually one of the only apartment that I've had where we have a chat of all the residents and everyone's super cool with each other, help each other out with tools and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really cool to live here.
Who would you say is the right person to rent a place like this?
Definitely young business professional, especially with the location that we're at. I know there are families here, but I think it's mostly people maybe in the 30s to 40s.
Yeah. What advice would you give people who want to be able to afford living in a nice spot like this?
Just gotta be patient. I mean, I used to have a roommate too, but just know that one day you'll work your way up to where you want to be, I guess. And yeah, save a little bit of money and it can happen.
How much money does someone need to make to be able to comfortably afford living here?
I would say if you're doing this alone, definitely over 6 figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they do check credit scores.
Oh yeah.
Pretty
It's a good credit.
strictly. Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever been told in your life?
The worst thing you can get is a no. Just keep trying. Good things will come.
And what's something that you wish you started doing earlier in your life?
Probably like that whole like YouTube, whatever this is going on. Yeah. You know, like I see like obviously like the Gen Z or whatever generation's doing now, and they do what they're passionate about or what they're happy about, and they make a lot. And I just think like I personally, I am like too old to be starting something like that now. And I wish I tapped into that earlier.
Do you have any final advice for the audience?
Just hustle hard and yeah, good things will come.
Love that. Thank you so much. So what's your name, age, and what do you do for a living?
Christine Jacks, 34. I'm a product manager at a tech startup.
Why do you rent and why don't you buy a spot?
Yeah, so we actually did own and now we rent here. So this 12-year lease is kind of our in-between.
How has it been so far? Like, how would you compare an apartment like this versus where you had before?
For my wife and I that don't have any kids, there's not considerations for like school districts. But yeah, I mean, having the amenities, having the like location that we have here, like makes renting worth it.
And can I ask, how much do you pay for rent?
$4,300 a month.
How much do you need to be able to make to live somewhere like this?
For like a unit like ours, probably a couple $100,000 a year.
How do you invest your money?
We do some small investments too, you know, but like stock market right now is kind of brutal. So we actually do more with like high yield savings accounts and things like that. They're a little more stable.
What's your 5-year plan? Do you plan to buy again here or?
Yeah, I think we're going to end up trying to buy a house as soon as this lease is up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like we don't want the housing market to get too far away from us either. Like staying out of the game, I think is tough.
And who's renting good for?
When you're just getting started, like, you know, before you really establish what your career is going to be. But I think once you can bite the bullet and actually like get into the housing market, again, I think it's a smart thing to do. You know, that money is actually an investment at that point, and it's not just paying for amenities, paying for whatever.
What advice would you tell your younger self if you go back 10 years?
Get into a mortgage as early as you can afford it. Honestly, like I know people are terrified of like down payments and things like that, but if you don't get into it at some point, like you'll never get into it. And so it's just one of those things where it always seems like I'm not gonna have any money now if I do this, but like housing market's gonna only keep bouncing back. So I think it's smart to get in when you can.
Thank you so much. Name, age, and what do you do for a living?
My name is Jeff. I'm 24 and I run a email marketing agency.
Why do you guys rent your spot?
I mean, if I could time travel back to 2008 and buy a house in the 3rd grade, I'd love to own. But what's with home prices in general in California, it's like impossible to cash flow a house.
So how much do you guys pay for rent here?
I think it's about $5,600.
That's a lot. Is that worth it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it. It puts me in close distance to like the gym, like the view. It's cool for what it is.
Can you show us your home office? All right, let's see it. So you have that nice view, but this is your office?
Yeah.
Like your closet?
We don't need to get down there. I get distracted pretty easily. I have no idea how people can work in like a coffee shop because I'll just people watch and eavesdrop all day. So here, it's just quiet. I have no distractions. I can get it done. But obviously, taking sales calls with bigger companies, I can't look like I'm in a closet, so.
This is one of the most unique home offices I've ever seen. Okay. And you live here too. What's your name, age, and what do you do?
I'm Mckenna. I'm 23 and I'm a UGC creator.
What's the best part about living here?
Oh, definitely the views.
Can you tell me a little bit more about like what you do?
Yeah, I make short form ads for like D2C and CPG brands, and I give them to post on their platforms.
How do they find you?
Typically just like cold inbounds.
So you email them and...
Yeah, or they find me through just like word of mouth and referrals.
So how much can someone get paid typically for like one post or one video?
It can range from 85 to 200.
So what does your daily schedule look like? Because you work from home, right?
Throughout the week, I'll make the scripts, I'll film, and then I'll edit. So I kind of break it up throughout the week and then filming days, editing, scripting.
So if someone wants to get into that, what advice would you give them?
Download the app Incense. Just look for platforms like Fiverr, platforms that connect creators with the brands.
Yeah.
So it's a really good place to start.
And how do you build up your portfolio?
Just find any product that you like and try making a video. Just try and send it to them or put it on a portfolio or whatever and see what works.
Hey, what's the biggest brand you've worked with and how much do they pay you?
The biggest brand I've probably worked with is Uber and Uber Eats, and I got about $500 for 3 videos.
So what do you actually say to brands to get them to want to work with you?
Typically, I just go on Instagram or TikTok and personalize a message. So what do you like about the product? Can you apply it to your current niche, or do you have a following? All that stuff kind of ties into it.
And how much have you made in the last month?
It ranges depending on the month, but anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000.
What's the biggest perk to living in an apartment complex?
Convenience. I don't have to take care of like a yard. Mowing and planting and like de-weeding like a driveway, that not having to worry about a yard is really nice.
What's your advice for making more money? Because this is very expensive, especially for a 2-bedroom. If other people want to be able to afford a place like this, what should they do?
It depends on what their current situation looks like and their skills. But I would say if someone came with no skills, no job, I'd probably say like a sales job.
And what does your agency do?
We send emails for e-commerce brands. When you order from a brand, you get an email saying, hey, Charlie, thanks so much for ordering. Here's 5% off your next order. We strategize, design, and send those for a bunch of different e-commerce brands.
How much did you make to be able to live in a $5,600 a month apartment?
If you have a roommate, $10K a month.
Okay.
I mean, it should be like a steady $10K a month, not like your first $10K a month.
Right.
You're like, all right, let me sign these lease papers.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Now, I will say the main reason I like to rent residential apartments, even for my workspace, is because I love meeting people around me. As you guys can see, everyone is pretty successful and they're all really interesting. So I feel like being surrounded by people like that, it helps me grow. And so that's one reason I think it's really important to have a good community around you. And of course, the easiest way to do that is just by living somewhere nice like this and renting, right? Because there's likely not going to be a community, especially if you're buying a house, then you probably won't even talk to your neighbors. But here is the gym. I work from home, so I can come to this gym whenever I want. I can use the pools, all the facilities, and at least for the stage of life that I'm in right now, it really is the perfect choice. So what's your name, age, and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm Cooper, I'm 20, and I'm a solar salesman.
Why do you rent?
Just because I want to buy a house soon, but just the market's not like too good with interest rates and stuff.
How did you get into solar sales? 'Cause that's really interesting.
My buddy actually, his cousin has a company. He just hit me up and was like, hey, you want to come work with me? I was like, for sure.
How do you make money from that? Like, how's it all work?
Solar's expensive, but a lot of electric companies are more expensive than solar.
How much can someone make doing something like that?
Depends how good you are at it and the market as well. Here in California, it's pretty difficult because there's a bunch of people working. Every single door's been knocked like 5 times. But I know my brother works out here doing some solar stuff as well. And a lot of his friends are making like $50,000 a week if they do really good. Yeah.
What are some of the pros of living here versus buying, let's say, like a house?
Amenities like this, you know, pool. If I were to buy a house, I'd have to put in, you know, a bunch of money on that. It's not going to be as nice as this. I'll have to worry about more things. I'll be my own landlord, so I have to take care of the problems and stuff. But a lot of the stuff here is taken care of.
So when's the right time to buy a house then? When do you think you're going to buy a spot?
I don't know. It's always just looking to the market, what our interest rate's going to be at. But hopefully I'll get a property within like the next 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll live there full time. I might just do that as a rental property and kind of save that for the future.
How'd you learn all this whilst being so young?
Yeah, my dad used to teach seminars on how to flip houses when I was a kid, so I travel with him and just watch him teach.
What's an important piece of advice that you've learned in your life that you want to share with the audience?
Ask people who are wiser and have done stuff that you wanted to do, just simple tips, because the most basic steps are normally the ones that we fall over because we try to go too big and we mess up. So asking someone who's knowledgeable on that.
Can you tell us like your craziest solar sales story?
There was one guy who I talked to and I was like, hey, Cooper, I'm with Moama company. I was like, I'm sure you've seen our trucks. And he was like, yeah, I haven't seen your trucks because I mind my own business. You should mind your own business. And then said, get off my property before I bash your skull in. And it was a great conversation.
So are there a lot of people like that?
No, not very often, especially in Hawaii.
What's like your biggest trick for getting people to be receptive?
Just helping them understand what the product is. I don't try to sell anything that I wouldn't personally think is right. Just helping them understand why I see it that way.
Thank you so much. So there you have it, asking renters why they don't buy, but rent an apartment instead. Living in apartments can be cheaper than buying an equally luxurious house, but it seems like everyone really loves the community. They love being surrounded by nice cars, other people that are successful. And yeah, I think that's super important because being around these types of people shows you that it is possible. And this type of energy really does equate to helping you make more money. If you guys got some value from this video, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. I do a ton of videos about personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for your time and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.